Good morning, everyone. This is Wendy from Norming. Today we'll be looking at the product Norming Asset Management. We call it asset management actually because it consists of 4 different modules. The core module, asset accounting. This is your fixed asset subledger, where you acquire assets, depreciation it, track the movement of your fixed assets, and dispose of them. We also have the leasing module, where you are able to include your both of your leasing assets that you lease in from the outside vendors and process the payment periodically from the accounts payable module, as well as the leased out assets that you leased out to the customers and bill payment through accounts receivable module. There's also the maintenance module, where you can track maintenance expenses to keep your fixed assets or products in order. Finally, we have the asset tracking module, which allows you to print barcode labels from system, and you can use handheld scanners or mobile apps to count the assets or track the movement. Our webinar today is focused on the asset accounting module. We'll also have another 2 sessions for the leasing, maintenance, and tracking modules in the following month. So if you are interested, if you are also interested in these modules, you can attend our sessions then. Okay, over the next hour, we'll first see some setups in the system and then go through some of the main transactions in the system so you get an idea how we handle the accounting transactions in the system. Finally, we'll review some typical standard reports within system to help the customers to make analysis. If you have any questions, you can just write down and send to me through the chat box. I will answer all of your questions. Okay, let's first see the setup options that you need to do after your activity norming asset management in the system. The first item, options. In the options screen, actually the first thing we need to do is to specify those segments of asset numbers. The asset numbers can be up to 9 segments. Here in my database, I have 3 segments built. And for each segment, you can link to different items, either the category, cost center, and the groups, this kind of properties, or you can specify the segment as a user specified number or just an auto number. In the options, we also allow you to specify how many books will be enabled in your system. Because normally asset management supports up to 5 books: the accounting book, the tax book, as well as these additional 3 books. For these 3 books, you are able to give it a name. And these books are actually independent, and each of them has its own transactions. So don't worry, they will affect each other. And only the accounting book will generate the GL transactions or some subledger transactions, because only the accounting book is for accounting purposes, but the other books, the tax and the additional 3 books, are made just for tax purposes, not for accounting. Users may just maintain some different depreciation methods for reporting or tax purposes by using the additional books. What we need to pay attention to here is the current fiscal year in this screen. The current fiscal year is the year to which you are posting transactions to. Normally, we just post transaction to the current fiscal year, but sometimes the customers may also need to make some corrections for previous year after the year end. So in the latest versions from AM 6.5, we allow users to do the acquisition transactions in the previous years also. But you are still not able to post transactions to the future year. Okay. The last depreciation period here is the most recent period you have run depreciation for in the system. So in my system, my current depreciation period could be the 6th period of 2020. We also give you the budget function. Yeah, budget function actually is just for the acquisition transactions. So you can select this option if you want to keep track of your purchases against the budget. And select whether to give a warning or error message if your purchase amount is over the budget. So I'll select warning and save it. Then we'll take a look at the account sets. Under the account sets, what you need to do is to define groups of general ledger account numbers that are used for the fixed assets on your balance sheet, such as the asset control account, the work in progress account, the accumulated depreciation account. We also support multi-currencies here. So if you want to purchase fixed assets in a currency other than the functional currency, Canadian dollars, you can set it up in the system. And you can also track the unrealized or realized gain or loss exchange. Aside from account sets, another group of general ledger accounts are maintained in the cost centers. So we'll look at the cost center first. The cost centers are actually the income statement side of your fixed asset transactions. Here, you maintain a list of cost centers in which the impairment loss account or the disposal cost or proceeds account, as well as the depreciation expense account are maintained. And if some assets are shared by multiple departments, that means the depreciation expense might be, the depreciation cost might be allocated. Then we can allocate this expense on a percentage basis across multiple cost centers or departments. So here we provide the percentage location function here. So you can add multiple lines here to allocate the depreciation expense. Then we will have a look at some sort and selection options here. First one we'll check the categories. The category is used to classify your assets into logical groups for reporting or tracking purposes. As category is one of my segment of my asset number, so I here I have to give it a segment code. And the next auto number will be updated automatically. Then we have the groups. Groups are really just a user-defined code and description, which provide another sorting and selection option for reporting against your fixed assets. We also have locations. In this case, we can attach document to each location, either a picture or doc files. Also, we integrate to the GL segment, so you can override the GL accounts by segment. You can specify the GL segment here and select segment GL segment number. So for the assets with the location code 1, all their related GL accounts in the transactions will be replaced by this specified segment. Okay, we also have the classifications. If you don't enable the Canadian pools function in the system, you can just use the classifications as another sorting and selection code. Create some classification codes. The purpose of these 4 options actually is just for you to hold an additional detail of the fixed assets. You can use one of them or all of them just for your reporting purposes based on the client's requirement. All right, then these options we have covered are in terms of the master file fields. Then we will see some options related to the transactions, such as acquisition. We'll look at acquisition code here. The acquisition code determines the different ways we can acquire the assets. Either from the accounts payable module, we can convert the accounts payable invoices or payments to fixed assets, or convert the items from inventory control to fixed assets, or purchase order module, we can convert the PO receipts to fixed assets. If the project and job costing module is enabled in your system, you can also convert completed projects to fixed assets. And the most important one, the general ledger, we can just enter some acquisition entries in asset management, and the GL journal entries will be created automatically. This is a default acquisition clearing account. This is for AP. We have some field here. Okay. Then we have the depreciation methods. The depreciation methods are formula driven, user defined. We provide the fields here and the functions at the bottom for you to build your own depreciation formulas if you have some special requirements. So as long as you can specify your depreciation policy as an algebraic formula, you will be able to set that up in your system. Regardless of which depreciation methods you use, we allow you to test the calculation within the system to make sure you are getting the value. The depreciation results here, you may check if this matches to your existing spreadsheets. If it is different from your respected value, you can just check the formula here and apply the value for each field to see why it gets this result. The depreciation method determines the depreciation value you will get, while the depreciation periods could determine how often you want to run depreciation, whether monthly or yearly or non-depreciation. You can specify which periods within a year you want to run depreciation. Sorry, a question. Quality. Can you make me presenter? Sorry. Why do you want to be the presenter? Any problems? Okay, here for monthly, we specify each period to as yes to run depreciation. Right. If you want to create a yearly depreciation, you can just set up other periods as no, but only keeps maybe the last period as yes, so the system will only run depreciation for the specified fixed asset only in last period. For some customers, they may have some fixed assets such as land, which are non-depreciable. So we'll suggest them to create a special depreciation period as no depreciation. So in this case, they will specify each period as no, so the system will not run depreciation for this kind of fixed assets. Then we have the disposal types. As for disposal, what you can do is either do a GL transaction to remove assets from books or sell the fixed asset. An AR invoice will be created with your proceeds amount. Or you can just move this fixed asset back to inventory control. An AR receipt will be created. As we mentioned, there is the budget function built in the system. This is the capitalization budget function here. The capitalization budget is actually a budget for fixed asset acquisition. It does not have anything to do with your GL account budget in the general ledger, but this is strictly a way for you to keep track of your purchase against the capitalization budget within fixed asset. You can maintain a capitalization budget amount here, and the actual expenditure will be updated every time you purchase a fixed asset in the system. So you will get a variance here to see how much dollars are still available for your purchase. Finally, we have the template. Because there's a fair amount of detailed information within system, you can create the template first to populate all the setup information, like the cost center, the category, location, the budget account set, as well as the depreciation method, period life for either the accounting book or some other books. So after you maintain the templates, you don't need to visit each of these fields when you enter a new asset. So let's take a look at the asset register screen. So you will see the fields in the asset register screen is quite close to what you can see from the template. The cost center, this kind of information, and some information in the book tab. So we encourage you to use the template so you don't have to rekey in this information. Okay. Then we'll be looking at the asset register screen. The asset register is actually your fixed asset subledger. It keeps full track of your asset information, no matter the master file fields or the financial information, the depreciation method, the start date, the asset life, as well as the asset values. It keeps detail of the asset values, including the original purchase cost, and if any adjustment has been made to the fixed asset values, the adjustment will be added to the book values. It also calculates your depreciation, so you got the net book value listed here. Some additional information are also kept here, like this period depreciation, the current fiscal year depreciation, and the last year depreciation. The asset values are in home and foreign currencies. Actually, this also works for the another books. Like in textbook, it has its own depreciation method, this information and the asset values, as well as the third book. If you have additional books, if you have some additional information to track, you can enter this kind of information like your insurance number or insurance company in your miscellaneous page. If the optional fields module also activated in Sage 300, you can attach some optional fields to each fixed asset. Or if you would like to, you can attach some documents to asset. The units tab actually are primarily used for the asset tracking modules because here you need to maintain barcode number and serial numbers for tracking purposes. All right, this is the asset register. When our consultants implement the asset management for customers, after they finish the setups, the next step is to import the customer's existing assets from spreadsheets to asset register. So what they can use is to use the import asset wizard function here. This function will help you to generate the required import template with minimum required fields. Of course, you can add additional fields if you want to maintain more details in the system. So you can use this utility to generate the template and maintain the information in the spreadsheet, and finally import the assets back. right here. Another way to take the assets into system is through the acquisition entry. For customers, they may more often use this acquisition entry to take in assets. Okay, let's make acquisition entry, for example. For example, our company purchased new equipment this month, so I have to load it into the system. So new new equipment acquisition. My current fiscal year is 2020 in the system. So current amount could be 2025. Here we have several transaction types. What I need to select here is the new type because it is a new fixed asset. The difference between new and existing, the existing type have the same effect as the import asset wizard function here. Because for this type is used to take on the existing assets and no GL journal entries will be created. And for the existing assets, you are able to maintain the opening balance for the fixed assets, like the accumulated depreciation. But for the new assets, the GL journal entry or some subledger transactions will be created. We'll first take a new transaction, for example. The next thing we need to do is to specify a template. So it will automatically populate the fields for us. Okay, I'll specify the equipment template and specify in which way we want to acquire the assets. We can convert, for example, convert some documents from other modules like the AP or PO. Let's take PO for example. I'd like to convert a PO receipt to fixed asset. So I need to specify the vendor, specify the receipt number I have posted in PO module. I just click the Go button. The details of the PO receipt will be displayed here. You can see in this PO receipt, I have purchased 5 servers. The unit cost is $5,000. So the total is $25,000. I can convert this to a fixed asset. And I double click this line or press the F9 key to check the acquisition details. So we can see the asset numbers here. We remember the purchase, the amount in the purchase order plus the taxes. The additional cost will be $26,500. The asset values will be automatically populated. This information are populated from our template specified, so we can just save it. We can create a new from equipment. Okay. This time we'll use the GL transaction, we just wanted to create the GL transaction for this acquisition. I'll specify the template. You can specify the template as the detail line or as the header line. Double click this line and specify the acquisition date. Okay, it is applied at the first day of May, and the serial number maybe 01527. Yeah. The purchase cost for this equipment is, I'll say, $5,000. And just specify the asset value here. The tax values will also be calculated based on your booked information. Okay, in this case, a new acquisition is finished. Another thing to mention here is the status. Sometimes the customers may want to create some assets that are still in progress, like the work in progress projects. So for this kind of fixed asset, we can just double click the status here. Then we'll be able to create a WIP asset. And when the WIP asset is finished, when the project may be completed, we can transfer it from a WIP into normal asset, so it can calculate depreciation. As this is just a normal asset, we'll close it and post this acquisition batch. I'll just post this one. And our GL transaction is created. Okay, this should be the journal entry for my new equipment, $5,000. And we are also able to drill down to the asset management transaction from the GL journal entry. Okay, so it's quite convenient here. Go to the acquisition. Then we check the asset numbers that created just now. Okay. 024. 035. This is my new equipment. We can see the asset values are maintained here. What we can do at the moment after this asset is taken into the system is to run depreciation at the end of this month. The depreciation process is quite simple in the system. We just go to the depreciation. I'll just run depreciation for fixed period. Depreciation for only for assets. Just only run depreciation for this single asset. As a header, we are also able to select which book we want to run depreciation for. Yes, as we mentioned, each book has its own transactions. Here, you can only run depreciation for one of the books or all of them. Okay, the depreciation calculation for each book has been finished. So we go to the depreciation batch list. And you may see different tabs here for different books. For accounting book, we can see the depreciation amount for the fifth period is 83.33. Okay, we can check the status of the fixed asset at the moment. Because it has been included in an unposted depreciation batch, the status has been changed to depreciation in progress, and all this kind of information like the start date, the retirement date are not editable anymore. So because the asset value, it is using the straight line depreciation method, so the depreciation amount is calculated by the net value and it is divided by the remaining life, the 30 months, so we get this amount. We just post the depreciation batch, we can see GL transaction is created. We'll also go to the textbook to post the depreciation batch. Let's see, this is completed and no GL will be created for the additional books. Alright. Okay. Now we can see the assets lost depreciation period has been updated, and the depreciation value for this period for this year and accumulated depreciation. In terms of depreciation, some customers may ask some questions like, will my if I change my depreciation rate, will it affect my depreciation? Will it affect my monthly depreciation calculated in the system? Actually, because the depreciation in the system are completely calculated by the depreciation formula specified in the method. If the depreciation rate is not included in your formula, it will not affect your depreciation value. Only the fields used in your formula will affect the depreciation values. Half year rule. Okay, a question raised here is, does it consider the half-year rule in year one? It depends on your formula. Like here for my formula, it's just a quite simple straight line formula here. It will always divide your book net value by the remaining periods. So it will not consider the half year rule in year one or following years. If you want to consider this rule, you may need to, let me see if there are any built-in formula. Okay, you may see if these formulas work, because the half year convention, will consider some of the days in the first year. But if you find this formula doesn't work for your case, you may need to use the fields here provided to build your own formula. So the answer actually is it depends on your formula defined. If you have if you have difficulty in building the depreciation formula, you can just send email to us to help you create this kind of formulas. All right. Mm, Another thing, another important thing here is the depreciation reversal. If you find the depreciation formula here posted is incorrect, you can just go to the depreciation reversal to reverse the depreciation. And you could make some changes to the asset by change the formula or change the values and rerun depreciation. We also provide the depreciation projection functionality here. The depreciation function here allows you to project the depreciation for the future periods. The future year is also available. Like for example, I want to see my depreciation expense for the following for 2021. I can specify the year here and specify this fixed asset. So I will be able to see the depreciation amount for each period in the future, as well as accumulated depreciation as of 2021. Or you can create more years in the fiscal calendar, so you can do the projection for 2022, 2023. That are all possible. Also, you can attach some different formulas, different methods. For example, if you want to compare the different depreciation methods by using the straight line method or double decline method, you can also specify a different method here. It will calculate the depreciation by using the method you specified here. So you can do the analysis. Also, let's go back to asset register. You may see on this screen we are able to change some of the options like the depreciation period, the start date, and the groups, but for some others like the cost center, the location, the account set, these are grayed out, as well as the asset values. You are not able to change the values here. If you want to adjust this information, you need to go to the adjustment functionality because we need you to keep a record in the system when you make this kind of adjustments. For example, if you create a new one like adjust asset line. Let me just adjust asset location. example, this asset has been changed to another location. The period 506. So we need to first specify which book to exchange. Accounting book, textbook. So for book, we have these adjustment types: category, cost center, location. You can also add values to change the asset values as well as the asset depreciation. Okay, here I'll just change the location from 2 to 1, the first location. Post this one will be able to change the location for this fixed asset. If you want to, sometimes you might need to adjust the asset values because you may have replaced better parts for this equipment. For example, my computers or my server. If I have bought a new CPU for it, I will need to add some values to this fixed asset. So in this case, you can use the adjustment function to adjust asset values, or you can go to the acquisition entry, because we also have the add-on transactions here. Here, the new add-on and existing add-on. After we select add-on transactions, the next step we need to do is to specify which asset you will add values to. For this, in this case, I'll add values to my new equipment. So here, just input the values you want to add. I just want to add $500 here. Okay. And post. As this is a new transaction, GL transaction is created. Alright. You can see the original purchase cost is $5,000, but the book value at the moment is $5,500 because we have made an add-on transactions to this fixed asset. Okay. We also have some other transactions in the system that provides the ability to do mergers and the splits of assets where you can take multiple assets and combine them into one asset. That is a merge function. You can also split one asset into multiple by using the split entry functions. For example, when we purchase the fixed asset, there might be some desks. We bought 100 desks at once. So when we do the acquisition, we put this 100 desks into one fixed asset number. But now for my company, we want to take 20 desks to another department. So we want to manage these desks by using two asset numbers. So what we need to do is just split this asset into two asset numbers by using the split functions here. Like specify the asset you want to see, there is, okay, there's some desk here. And specify the asset you want to split and specify the numbers. How many asset numbers you will split this asset to. And finally, specify the percent for each fixed asset. This will be the new asset created by this split entry. Okay. Press F9 key. We are also able to maintain the depreciation related information and the asset values. This is the split and split transaction as well as the merge transaction. We also have the impairment. The impairment actually is a situation where your market value of a fixed asset is less than its net book value. In this case, you will need to write down the remaining net book value of the fixed asset to its market value. For example, the building or the playground. Okay, we will see. For example, here, for this playground, due to the market value has reduced in 2019, so we have entered an impairment processing entry here. The impairment loss is $100,000. Then we will see the accumulated impairment, $100,000. This kind of impairment charge have a sudden downward impact on the net book value of the asset. It's quite the same to the accumulated depreciation. The asset book net value will be reduced by your impairment amount. All right. Then we go back to the new equipment. Actually, after the 5 years depreciation, this asset will be out of use. Then we will need to dispose it. Or in some other situation, a company may need to dispose of fixed asset on the sale of the assets to another party, or when the asset is no longer operational and is disposed of. So, for example, for this new equipment, we just used for one period, but finally, because of the business in the company, we might need to sell it to another party. So we need to dispose it in the system. We go to the dispose entry. Disposal of new equipment. Here we need to select the disposal type, either to sell the fixed asset, an AR invoice will be created, or just do a GL transaction to move the asset from my books. Another way is to send it back to the inventory control. So in my case, I'll select this one, AR. Specify the customer number. I will sell this fixed asset to 1400. And if any proceeds amount of disposal cost, we can maintain it here. Add this entry. And we'll post this disposal batch. AR invoice is created, GL is also created. Okay, we'll check the AR invoice. Okay, the amount is 0 because no proceeds amount has been entered. If any proceeds amount is maintained, you will see this amount in your accounts receivable. The disposal cost will be written. Um, can you see my screen change at the moment? I'm now in the disposal entry screen. Hi, how about other guys? Can you see me change my screen? Still the split entry screen. Oh, well, alright. Hi, how about other guys? Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you, Bella. Disposal entry screen. Alright. Hi, do you mind re-logging? Okay, thanks. Okay. Okay, well, I'm recording this session, so I will send you the videos later on. Okay, let's continue. These are the required journal entries for my disposal entry. The disposal of asset cost, the accumulated depreciation, and the fixed asset account are all written down. Now let's go back to the asset register. Hello, Aaron. The session recording. Would you mind sending me your email account? Or you can send me your email account. I will send you the copy of the session recording afterwards. Okay, thank you. Right. When we go back to this fixed asset, we'll see the status has been changed to disposed. After the asset is disposed, it will also be sitting in the asset register screen. Okay, alright, if you want me to send you the recording, you may leave your email account. I will send it later on. Okay, let's continue here. Even though the asset is disposed, it will also be sitting in the asset register with the information like the disposal cost, your disposal proceeds or profit or loss account. In case you have any, in case users made any error during the disposal process, sometimes they may find they disposed the incorrect asset or disposed with the incorrect disposed at an incorrect period. We provide the disposal reversal function here. Okay. After you reverse the disposal, the asset status will be back to normal, so you can go on the other transactions like adjust asset value and go on depreciation or redispose it in a different period. Bulk disposal is also available for you to dispose a range of fixed assets. All right, this is a complete cycle of a fixed asset from the acquisition until disposal. But in the system, we also have another process you will need to pay attention. That is the year-end process. Normally, asset management has its own fiscal year options. So after you create new year in general ledger, GL, you will also need to run year-end for fixed asset in the asset module. Then you will be able to run depreciation or do the acquisitions in the next year. All right, finally we have three typical accounting reports to see. Okay. These are the most often used reports by the customers. The first one, the asset listing report. The asset listing report lists all the assets in asset register. So you can see which book you want to print report, book or other book, detail or summary. Specify the asset status. I just want to include the asset that are still in use. Because for the all status, it will also include the disposed or split or merged assets. So you can specify this asset. And I'll sort first by category, the location, finally my concept. I'll just print the reports for my equipment. Okay, so we can see the details of this fixed asset, the cost center information, the concept information, the book value, the accumulated depreciation value, and the net book value. They are also grouped by the different items. The report is also breaks up by the category or location. We are able to see the subtotal of each item based on account set or location. Another report that is also important is the asset schedule report. I'll print the report for my fiscal year 2020 as of fiscal period 5. also the category equipment. The asset schedule report shows the opening balance at the start of the fiscal year and the closing numbers as of the specified period. Like here, for each asset, we have the opening cost for year 2020 and the additions year to date, the closing cost, the opening depreciation, year to date depreciation, and the accumulated depreciation. This is very similar to a roll forward report, and it gives a nice snapshot of asset changes during the select periods. Alright, finally we have the asset history report. You can print all the transactions or some of the transactions during a specified transaction period. These transaction types are selectable. A similar function in the system is under the asset category, we have asset activities inquiry. If you don't want to print the history for all the fixed assets, you can just put the asset number here. My new equipment. And select the transaction type you want to see and click the Go button. You will see all the required transactions listed here. I double click this line, you will be able to drill down to the original document. Okay, for example, this is my acquisition entry. Then we have to transfer the location and some add-on transaction and disposal. This also works for the additional books. For example, for you to check the transactions for the textbook and the third book. The drill down also works for these books. Okay, I believe that's all I want to talk about. Thanks for your time.